Sunday, March 13th, 2022. Before I start the video today, I want to make a quick retraction on the video I did yesterday. I was speaking about preventing disease and being healthier, and I said you can prevent diabetes with exercise and a healthy diet. And I said type 1 diabetes. I meant to say type 2. I apologize. A lot of people called me out on that. And hey, I'll admit it when I'm wrong. I misspoke. I meant to say type 2. So thanks for commenting down below and pointing that out. So again, you can prevent a lot of diseases. And you can prevent diabetes, type 2 diabetes, with exercise and a healthy diet. And you can prevent a lot of other diseases, live a better life, age better, and just be a healthier, stronger person by having a healthy diet and exercising. So without further ado, let's get into this video today. A few things I want to talk about. And one of them is this. I think, in my humble opinion, things are much worse than we are being told. And we're hearing, daily about the price of everything going up: gas, food, insurance, housing, you name it. But I think we are really going to see some very, very traumatic times in our history, without a doubt. And I want to share a few articles with you. And this to me just reinforces that we're going to see a lot more inflation coming to America, much higher prices across the board. And I think that, for months now, we've been seeing shortages of all types of items. Food, for one, going to the grocery store and seeing a lot of shelves empty, or just not seeing the type of inventory that I once did. They don't even talk about the ships in Long Beach any longer. How many ships are sitting out in Long Beach? How many are 40 miles out that they don't count? We don't hear anything about the supply disruption now, because we're hearing about many other things in the news. There's so much going on. It's very hard to keep up with all of this. But this article from CNBC I was reading yesterday, how Americans can cut costs and save amid the pain of record inflation. Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary, said this the other day: we're likely to see another year in which 12-month inflation numbers remain high. Yellen told CNBC's The Final Bell on Thursday. Now remember, what was it, a couple years ago, maybe 2-3 years back, when she said that we will never even see another recession here in America. They're always wrong, always wrong. 64% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, according to this article. I think it's worse than that. And this article talked about a couple ways that you can protect yourself from inflation. One of them was this: put your money in an online savings account so you can earn 0.5% on your money. Think about putting your money in an online savings account. If you think it's dangerous and risky to put your money in a bank right now, how about just putting it in an online savings account? It's tough enough to call a bank and get somebody to answer the phone. Imagine if things get out of control, trying to call somebody or email somebody with your online savings account. Very, very risky. The article goes on to say, stay in equities. Yes, stay in these markets. It's a great idea. Tomorrow, we will watch the cheerleaders on these business channels and these financial channels telling all of us to be buying stocks and equities and real estate, and to continue to run up your credit cards and get out and buy things. More and more cheerleading. And the last thing they said was pull back spending, cut back on your retail therapy. It's going to be very difficult for a lot of people, but many people are going to be forced to cut back on their retail therapy, no doubt. So it's going to be very, very hard for people to transition to what we are heading into. Their standard of living has been changing the last couple years, and it is now, this change is beginning to accelerate. Another article today, the Russia-Ukraine war threatens wheat supply, jolts prices. A big portion of the world's wheat supply comes from Ukraine. And their storage of wheat over the past couple years has really diminished because of very, very bad weather. And this is going to continue to disrupt supplies and prices of wheat and food, because you need wheat to make all kinds of things, right? Like bread. And it's just going to continue to really, really get out of control. The Telegraph, record gas prices pushing up everyday costs, dampening economic recovery. This economy, in my opinion, has been failing for many, many years. And now we're watching this acceleration of this collapse. It was really like, as I said, probably a year ago, and said this many times, this economy is dying a death by 1,000 cuts, but it is now accelerating. Everybody was watching this economy slowly die, and now we're watching things happening at an accelerating level, and this economy is being decimated at an accelerated level. And now, as people are returning to their old jobs, many companies calling them back to work after they bought houses 2 hours away from their office, thinking they were never going to have to go back to an office. And now that many are forced to go back to an office, what are they going to do now that they live an hour or 2 hours away from their office and they're paying $6 for a gallon of gas? It's going to be very, very hard for people to afford to put gas in their cars to go to work, just to go to work. And at some point, many people aren't going to be able to afford to go to work. I mean, think about this. If you, and this is very common out here in Southern California, if you live in maybe the San Bernardino County or area, or Riverside County area, you may be driving into Orange County, Los Angeles County. You have a 2-hour drive, 75 miles, 50 miles, some people driving over 100 miles a day to go to work. $6 a gallon for gas, $6.29, $6.39, $6.59 for super unleaded, $6.59 for diesel. How many people are driving these big diesel trucks, pickups, these big SUVs? I don't know how people are going to continue to do this, but as many of you have seen the same thing I'm seeing, a lot of people out there driving around like gas is 99 cents. This, I think, is on borrowed time before people just get completely tapped out on the credit cards. Politico, Senate gives final okay to $1.5 trillion government funding bill, now waiting for the president's signature. The Senate passed a $1.5 trillion package Thursday night that funds the federal government through September and delivers, get this, $14 billion to help Ukraine. Now, look, I feel bad for everybody, and I don't get political. I try to stay very centered. And I feel bad for both sides, people in Ukraine, the people in Russia. War is just a terrible, terrible thing. But my question is, where is all this money coming from? Another 1.5 trillion. We got 14 billion dollars going to Ukraine alone. Where is the money coming from? This debt, ladies and gentlemen, is going to cause continued inflation, and it's going to have a delayed effect or a delayed reaction into our economy, because by the time this money gets printed, borrowed, and gets into the system, it's going to be months, and we're not going to see the effect until probably somewhere in 2023. It's going to be a delayed effect, a delayed reaction. If they put 1.5 trillion into the economy today, it's going to take months and months, probably over a year, before we even see the effect of the inflation from this massive money printing and money borrowing. U.S. sending, this on CNBC, U.S. sending $200 million more in defensive aid to Ukraine. That on CNBC. Again, where is all this money coming from? And I'm just watching small businesses, restaurants, retailers just being ravaged economically in this economy. Continued store closures, continued restaurant closures. Again, I feel bad for anybody in a war. I feel bad for both sides, but I'm starting to feel extremely bad for the people right here, the people who aren't getting any help, the business owners, the people who are driving 75 miles one way to work and paying $6.29 for a gallon of gasoline. I'm feeling really bad for those people. And you know what they're going to get? They're going to get higher taxes and higher inflation. They're not going to get a bailout. They're not going to get any kind of funding, any kind of package. They're going to get higher taxes, higher inflation. They're going to be paying higher costs for everything. Another article, more microchip headaches. Ukraine halts half of world's neon output. And does this mean more shortages? More than likely, yes. Ukraine's two leading suppliers of neon have halted their operations. Neon is an essential component in microchips, which were already struggling with shortages. Everything from appliances to automobiles and everything in between is dependent on microchips and dependent on neon in order to make microchips. So more shortages, ladies and gentlemen. It really just an incredible time. What we wake up to tomorrow, I have no idea what a market's going to do. I do believe we're going to get a rate increase by the Fed this week. Many people say it's not going to happen. People in the comments down below, people writing me saying it's not going to happen. I do believe it's going to happen. We'll wait and see. I have a bet with my attorney for dinner, so we'll see. I hope I'm right. We need it. Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. The bottom line is rates must go up. They must go up aggressively in order to start fighting this inflation. People are really being affected. They're being hurt. They're being devastated with this inflation. And the Fed has stood by and done absolutely nothing because all it wants to do is protect these markets. They are not protecting the people, the dollar, the small business owner, the average everyday American is not being protected. The Fed has basically stood by and done nothing, and the problem is getting much worse. And I don't know what it's going to take for them to get aggressive, but if they just stand by and do 25 basis point rate hikes this year or next year, we're in very, very big trouble. I guess another reason why we all better own some gold and some silver, and we better be looking out for ourselves, and we better be getting and detaching out of the system, and we better start acting like our own central banks, because this inflation is going to get much worse. And if the Fed thinks that they're going to stop it by raising interest rates by 25 basis points, we got real big trouble, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what they're going to do. There is a chance that they could go 50 basis points this coming week. We'll see. But I think it's going to be 25 basis points. And just you got to think to yourself, if they're this fearful of raising even 25 basis points after all this, what does that tell you about the condition of this economy? That, you know, every day when I turn on the financial channels, they're telling me how great the economy's doing and how strong the consumer is. Well, then raise interest rates. Why are they so fearful of raising rates? And why are they so late to the party? The hedge today, India is mulling ruble payment system for trade with Russia. They're in discussions right now on how to set up this system. Now, remember, India has over 1.4 billion people in its country, and its economy is growing. India is losing faith in the United States of America, and they're looking at other options. 60% of India's military hardware comes from Russia, India, China. Its trade crossed $125 billion in 2021. China and India account for more than 25% of the world population. Combined, they make up a total of around 7.9 billion people. Unbelievable, isn't it? And one last article here. Many of you probably have already seen this. Iran fires ballistic missiles into Iraq. They're saying that these could be Israeli, U.S. bases. What does this mean for the stock market tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, there is no good news, but as long as the Fed is buying treasuries and bonds and everything else in these markets, it doesn't really matter, I guess. That's all that these markets care about. I don't think they really care about inflation. I don't think they care about unemployment. I don't think they care about homelessness. I don't think the markets really care about the economy at all. The markets care about the markets, and the markets are addicted to the Fed drug. So, but this means a lot to us because there's going to be more uncertainty, more volatility. And I think it's going to be, from what I can see, just connecting the dots here, I think it's going to be a very volatile week. There are more things erupting in Eastern Europe. Now you got Iran involved, you got India, China just standing by, and everybody's going to be trying to cut deals behind America now, trying to get out of the US dollar, which is on borrowed time. It's inevitable, ladies and gentlemen. And the more of this we see, the more we're going to see the world wanting and demanding to get off the dollar standard and get on into a new standard, probably a currency backed by gold. We'll see how it all plays out. It's going to be a very interesting day tomorrow. Who knows? Markets could be up, Dow Jones could be up 500 points tomorrow, and everybody will get complacent, and everything will be fine. But there's just so much happening out there, and you really need to be protecting yourselves mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. God bless all of you. Please make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Share all these videos. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell notification. God bless all of you. I look forward to speaking with all of you very, very soon. Have a phenomenal week. Make sure you don't get complacent. Stay on track. Continue preparing and stay close to God.